Okay, hello. We have the pleasure today to have Dr. Nick Thompson. He is from the United Kingdom, exactly near Bath, near the southwest part of England, right?
Yep, that's it, in the southwest.
Okay.
Yeah, Bath is a very historic city, and many people, I think, will in Guatemala may know Bath, but it's near Bristol. It's in the southern part of England. It's kind of on the other side from London. That's where it is. That's where we are.
Thank you. So he is a wonderful person. He happens to be also a veterinarian with 20 years of experience. He has also been trained in homeopathy, acupuncture, natural nutrition, and veterinary herbal medicine. And he uses both complementary and conventional approaches, which is awesome because you use a lot of approach to treat a patient, together with a large dose of old-fashioned common sense, which is really valuable. So thank you so much for making the time for us in the other side of the world. How are you?
I'm really well, Susanna. Thank you very much. I was really pleased to get your invitation only a week ago. So for us to be speaking so quickly is really great. I love to encourage friends and colleagues all around the world. I was speaking with Singapore this morning and with India, and talking to you guys now, and I've been in touch with the States and talking to people in the UK. So it's very exciting. The raw food world is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're really excited to welcome our friends and colleagues in Guatemala into the wonderful thing, which is raw food.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit more of how did you encounter the natural food and all of these different therapies that you use?
Okay, raw food. So let's stick with raw food, because otherwise I can give you my whole biography of where I found homeopathy and acupuncture and what have you. If we stick to raw food for now. So I qualified in 92, and I wanted to be a pretty regular vet. I just wanted to be a country vet and to see cattle and horses and cats and dogs and sheep and pigs and just be a proper vet. But and I saw cats and dogs back at the surgery as well. And what I found was that quite quickly I was a little bit worried that we were just using drugs when I myself would always try and avoid drugs. My mother was a nurse, my father was a doctor, and so I'd been raised in an environment where if you've got to use drugs, then you can use drugs, but try and avoid them and always try and eat. My mother was crazy about eating healthy food. My father was interested in acupuncture and medicine and natural medicine, holistic medicine, even before holistic medicine was a thing. And so that was my background. But so when I was in my early practice, I was thinking, if I got ill, I would try and use natural methods. And so I started studying homeopathy and was fascinated with homeopathy. And what happened was that within homeopathy there is a phenomenon, there is a mindset which says that you always try to eliminate obstacles to cure. Yeah, anything that stands in the way of the cure, if you can remove that, it's very helpful. And while I was doing my training, it suddenly struck me that dogs have been eating real food, prey and greens and everything that they could possibly get hold of. They're scavengers for 45 million years. And here we were as a trained vet, being trained to give kibble to these ancient creatures who have been thriving, evolving using raw food. And just because of my parents, I knew that if you don't eat right, then you're going to get sick. Yeah, there's a phrase that we say is you are what you eat. And other people will say, let food be your medicine. And so that's, maybe 1995.
Wow.
Came across raw food. One of the guys on the course had been to Australia. He came back and he was talking about this crazy guy called Ian Billinghurst, Dr.
Yeah.
Ian Billinghurst. Yeah, who's wonderful guy who I now would consider a friend. I speak to him frequently, and he wrote this book, and it just made so much sense that I just thought, why didn't I understand this years and years and years and years ago? And the rest is history. Initially, I was just very interested in raw food. I worked with a raw food company to try and promote, try and educate. And then about 10 years ago, and then that carried on, and then there were 2 raw food companies, and then there were 3. And then maybe 10, 15 years ago, something happened, and raw food in the UK just went like this, and it just absolutely took off. Okay. And because I'd been doing it for kind of at least 10, 12 years or so by then, I was already, even back then, I was kind of the old man of raw. And so people kept on asking me, how do I feed my dog? What can I do about this? And I was pleased, will you give us some lectures on raw food? And so I learned even more and even more and even more. And so that kind of brings us to where we are today. And now I see people with their dogs with many skin conditions, many gut conditions, also behavior problems and all sorts, kidney disease, liver disease, all sorts of things. And they say, please, can you help us? And raw food is integral, just as in conventional medicine, a packet of Hills or Royal Canin prescription food is part of the treatment for most diseases. Yeah. We do exactly the same, except we don't use something in a bag or in a tin. We will use real food like your grandmother told you to eat. Okay. Yeah. And we will use that. We will use herbs, we'll use homeopathics, we'll use supplements, and we put all these together with a broad understanding of the patient and of the disease. And it's often a very, very successful way of treating, and it's very gratifying. It's a very heartwarming way of treating, rather than saying, right, here's your penicillin, here's your steroid, and here's a bag of food, see you in 10 days. That's kind of soul destroying, I feel. Whereas when you can talk properly to the owners, you can really get to know the dog very, very well, and you can bring real medicine, real holistic change to that case. It's a great way to be. I have bad days. I have tough days. Yeah, as everybody does. Vets looking at this going, oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. It's the real world. Okay. But the average, something like the average vets in the UK, the dropout rate is enormous, like 50% at about 3 years qualified. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because it's a soul destroying process. You only have 10, 15 minutes, maybe. You all you've got is drugs. All you've got is bags of food, tins of food. You've got surgery, of course, and you've got diagnostics. But it's I think a lot of people in the UK, in Europe, they burn out very quickly because it's a lifeless, it's not a regenerative medicine. It's a very kind of cut and dried industrial approach to medicine. and I think medicine is far too important to be industrialized.
For sure. And I really, really hope that in Guatemala, we do have like that change or switch of paradigm, or just to be mindful of what we are feeding, because yeah, most of the people is feeding kibble. And yeah, for sure, for all the prescription diets, it's already a thing here. And I think we are really, really behind all of these treatments of using food as medicine. But at least you give me hope that it could happen the way that it happened.
Yeah, but Susanna, you say that, but I think in Guatemala and in much of South America, raw food is really big in South America. There is a Spanish part of the Raw Feeding Veterinary Society. So guys, check this out. If you're a vet or a vet nurse, a vet tech, check out. There are very many. I know there is Christian Vergara is in Chile, and there are vets in Venezuela, in Brazil, who are thinking this way. And my strong advice is get in touch with those guys, because they're feeling as lonely as you are. Get in touch with those guys. I worked with in Argentina. I worked with a company called Authentica, who is a raw food company in South America. So it's coming. It's coming. And I think getting people together to be enthusiastic and to learn from each other is a great idea. Get in touch with Christian Vergara. He's in Chile. I think probably Lima. I don't know many other cities in Chile. But yeah, get together, use Google, and get in touch, support each other. It's really, really important.
Yeah, thank you. And now that you mentioned, what is the Raw Feeding Veterinary Society? Like, is it something that our veterinaries can already be involved?
Yeah, the Raw Feeding Veterinary Society, the website is rfvs.info, rfvs.info, and it's a friendly, I with a number of colleagues started the Raw Feeding Veterinary Society in 2019. Okay, so 9 years ago, and we wanted to do exactly that. We wanted to come together. We wanted to learn together. We wanted to support each other, and so we formed the Raw Feeding Veterinary Society. It's not a scary thing. Okay, I absolutely assure you, everybody's very welcoming and very enthusiastic and warm and love being together. We have conferences every year, and we have a big party, and it's really, really fun. And we'd have lectures and also just talking between us. We exchange ideas and papers and science, and it's an extraordinary it's a wonderful thing. It's kind of like going back to school, in that everybody, you've grown up with everybody, because when you meet a raw feeder, you immediately have a connection. You're not traveling the same path as every other vet nurse. You are in your own space, and they can easily join you there because they are thinking in the same way. They're thinking outside the Royal Canin, the hills, the Purina paradigm. They are trying to reach wisdom, really ancient wisdom. Like I was saying, in South America, you guys have a vast amount of traditional wisdom, which I guess is not so far behind. You talk to your grandmother, she'll say, yeah, of course you feed real food. Why would you feed plastic food? Why would you feed factory food? Why would you feed synthetic food? Yeah. In this country, we're a couple of generations down into these horrendous factory food, and America is even further ahead. You know, when was the first McDonald's? Like in the 50s or something. When did Guatemala get its first McDonald's,
Oh,
Susanna? Where
has to be
can you
maybe
remember?
no, but maybe in the after the 70s, 80s or something.
Yeah, I actually went as a kid to the
Oh, really?
first McDonald's in London. Yeah, like in maybe the end of the 70s. The end of the 70s. I had an American friend, and he said, "You got to go to McDonald's. You got to go to McDonald's. You got to eat a quarter pounder, and you got to have root beer." That was the big thing, root beer, which is not beer. It's just like lemonade, junk. And yeah, so it's that American influence of the standard American diet. The standard American diet is lousy, and it kills people, and it's bad for you, and it makes you put on weight, and it gives you diabetes, and it makes you die early, and what have you. And this is, they are trying to export it. They've exported it more or less to Europe. They're trying to get it into South America. They're trying to get it into Australia and Singapore and everywhere. And it's just appalling. And they're doing the same thing with kibble and tinned food. Yeah, the profit margins are big for these big multinational corporations, and there is it is a long way from real proper food, and so therefore I think, you know, as vets, if we think outside the box, it's really wonderful to embrace real food. Okay, and it's not difficult. I'll tell you now, it's not difficult to do. Yeah, you feed you, I feed me, I feed my family. Well, my wife does most of the cooking,
Yeah.
but but yeah, it's not difficult. Yeah, you don't need a textbook to feed your kids. Why do you need a textbook to feed your dog? Okay, you know, if you're a vet or a vet nurse, or if you have no scientific background, you can do some reading, and you can feed your dog. It's not difficult to feed a dog.
Okay, and maybe if you could summarize like 3 top benefits to feeding raw food to your dog, because some of the questions that we do have is like, okay, my dog is really sick and I should not be doing this right now, or this transition to raw food. And we think the opposite, right? It's, you better start right now because he's getting sick because of the food.
Sure.
So if you could, you know, summarize maybe 3, I know it's difficult, maybe 3 benefits.
Sure. Okay, so the time to start feeding a puppy raw food, a dog raw food, is when they are a pup inside their mother, inside the uterus. That's when you should start. Okay.
Yeah.
Any delay is a shame. Okay. You can start old dogs on raw food. You can start dogs with skin disease. I do it all the time with on raw food. You can start dogs with gut disease on raw food. But if anybody's watching this and they want to get into raw food, then the place to start is just taking healthy dogs, eating kibble, and getting them onto raw food. Okay, that's the place to start. Who is your audience, Susanna?
Most of them,
are we talking to vets? Are we talking to vets or vet nurses, or like
I would
regular
say,
people? Or?
yeah, 80% are regular people, and we are trying to reach more veterinarians here. But yeah, most of them are already making some kind of BARF diet, either at home or but
Yeah. Okay. So I think, okay, so we'll talk to the people who are not vets, not vet nurses. Okay. So the thing to do, make sure just read. That's my advice. Okay. I've done 2 videos actually, which should help those people. They're not in Spanish. They are in Turkish, which is not going to help you guys, but we should do a Spanish translation. There you go. There's a job for the
I
summer.
can help, yeah.
Okay, great. So the first, and you can get them on my website. My website, as you can see behind me, is holistic. Hang on, it's difficult to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. holisticvet.co.uk. You go to the website and you'll be presented with 2 videos. Okay. One video is raw feeding the basics. And that's it. And that's it. 10 short lessons, like 10-minute lesson, 10-minute lesson, 10-minute lesson, 10-minute lesson, 10 lessons, you know about feeding raw food. Yeah. Simple as that. Okay. The other video that I've got is called Bones and How to Feed Them. Okay. And it's on the website because everybody is terrified when they first start feeding raw food. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody. Guatemala, Argentina, New York State, England, Australia, everybody's terrified, guaranteed. Okay. So don't worry. So when you start the raw feeding, raw food, the basics, and then I advise then after maybe a month of feeding raw food, you can begin to think about feeding chewy, bony material.
Mhm.
And so the video, which is Bones and How to Feed Them, is on the same website as well.
I will make sure that I will link your
yeah,
voice.
the links are there on the on the website. And that's the easy way to do it. Yeah, because in like 90 or 100 minutes you have the whole, all the ideas presented to you. You have to look at me for 100 minutes, and I apologize for that, but you'll get lots of information, okay, in a short time. Okay. And so I would invite anybody who's interested to do that. If you've got a sick dog, then that's not an ideal place to start feeding raw. However, if you've got a dog who's got gut problems, then raw food can be transformatory. If you've got a dog who's got skin problems or ear, always mucky ears and problems with that, then that is a good place. But if you've got a dog who's, I don't know, dying of infection, that's maybe not a great place to start changing the diet too much. Okay.
Most of the cases are also from renal, like they already have kidney failure or something.
Renal. Okay. Yes, you can feed a dog with renal disease on raw food, but it's best to take advice, I would suggest. Yeah. When you first learn to drive, you have a driving instructor. Okay. You don't just jump in the car and then out on the highway. Yeah, that's what feeding a renal dog. It's not difficult, but if you don't know the basics, it's difficult to then translate it into how do I feed my kidney dog. It's just too much, too advanced. Yeah. I always say you go to primary school, then you go to secondary school, then you go to college, or you get a job or something. Yeah, it's gradual learning. Okay. And so I think that if you've got a dog with kidney disease, take advice. Yeah. If you've got a dog with gut disease, raw food, you probably do more good than harm. And skin disease, you probably do more good than harm. But with kidney disease, maybe not so much. Now, you were saying what benefits do we see with raw food? Okay. And so the list is endless. Okay. But I'm just going to give you a few. So if you take any parameter of health in the dog, okay, they will improve with raw food because you are feeding them an ancient and species appropriate food. Okay. So if we go from the nose to the tail, so I've had dogs whose sense of smell improves when they go onto raw food, because they're cleaner, they're healthier, better fats, less inflammation. Teeth, cleaner, yeah. Chewing bones cleans teeth. They will have better digestion, less grumbling of the stomach. They will produce much better poos, even within days. In some cases, I've had cases where they've had really bad poos for years, like 5 years. Dog has had really bad stool for 5 years, and within 2 days on the right raw diet, boom, great poos. I always say that the poo you want is you can pick up the poo in 2 fingers. Yeah. Because if you're in the city, everybody's got to pick up. Yeah. Okay. So therefore, it's really, really, really helpful. So better teeth, better digestion, less fresher breath. The coat, within 2 weeks, you will see an improvement, a more shine, more luster, a better smell to the coat. Anal gland problems can disappear, yeah, because if you're putting bony material into the dog, then that comes out and that really helps to empty those anal glands. Because within a good raw diet, you've got omega-3, which is very anti-inflammatory. Little niggles with arthritis and these kind of diseases, they can improve as well. Behavior wise, you can see dogs calming down. Okay, so raw food is good for dogs. Dogs who've got continually mucky eyes, that can improve. Really, just
All in
some
one.
people say, oh my God, I've got a new dog. Yeah, I've changed the food and I've got a new dog. You are what you eat. Yeah, if you eat factory synthetic food, you'll be an industrial body. If you eat real food, then you'll be much more natural, much better energy, calmer, better digestion, less wind, all that stuff. It's a no-brainer. It's a very easy sell. And the thing is, what's happened in the UK is that one person tries raw food in a town, okay, and because the results are so obvious so quickly, they then tell 3 of their friends. They try it, and the results are so obvious so quickly, they then tell 3 more of their friends. And this is why the industry, my camera doesn't like it when I do that. There you go. There you go. And so I haven't generated the raw food revolution in the UK. Yeah, I've been part of it maybe, but it's the change in the dog is what convinces people. Yeah. The vet says, oh, this is, some vets say, this is really good. It'll really benefit your dog. And the owners go, yeah. But if they try it, they can see it with their own eyes 2 weeks. Sometimes with the poos, 2 days.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
it sells itself. It sells itself. It sells itself.
Oh my God, thank you so much. We are almost out of time. Maybe just one last message that you want to include to our audience, and what is the proper raw food for you?
What is the proper raw food? Okay, it's all on the video, but on the video, no, the easy way to do it is, do you guys, can you get hold of 80-10-10 mixes? Okay, that's the easiest place to start. Okay, so you get an 80-10-10. If you've got a dog with gut problems or skin problems, don't start with chicken and beef, okay? Because they are the most, in the UK, they cause the most problems. Many dogs are fine. But if you're just starting, start with goat or lamb or
buffalo, we have
duck or turkey or whatever you can get a hold of. It's something a little bit unusual, maybe. Lamb over here. I don't know what you can get a hold of. But your dog may be fine with beef, but they will tell you pretty
Yeah.
quick whether they can tolerate beef or not. So you start with 80-10-10, and 80-10-10 means 80% is meat, yeah, muscle meat. 10% is bone, yeah, bony material, and 10% is organ material. He says, pointing at his heart, yeah, it's organ material. Okay, so that's the basis, yeah, and that's what we use as a
Standard.
kind of substitute for a carcass. Okay, and on top of that, you're going to add about 10-15% blended. This is my sign for blending. Yeah, you blend
Yeah.
up greens. Yeah, whatever you can get, spinach, broccoli. We have a thing called spring greens over here, cabbage, avocado. Yeah, green. Yeah, because herbivores, yeah, like sheep, eat greens. Carnivores eat herbivores. Yeah, and therefore they get the greens in that way. Yeah, so lots of greens. And onto that, I would suggest that we add some fish oil, clean, zero mercury fish oil. Yeah, like a teaspoon per 10 kilos, teaspoon per 20 kilos of dog. Yeah, so you've got a 40-kilo dog, you give maybe 2-3 teaspoons. If you've got a 10-kilo dog, you just give 1 teaspoon every day in the food. On top of that, we have a thing called NHS. NHS, which in the UK means the National Health Service. Yeah, you know about that. Since COVID, you probably do know about NHS. No, it's the medical system. It's the government medical system in the UK. Okay, it's called the National Health Service. Okay, but I use the letters NHS because it means nuts, herbs, seeds. Okay, so nuts, any nut you like, as long as it's not a macadamia. Okay, put them in the blender with the greens. Bzz. Herbs, anything you like. Okay, put in a little bit of herbs. Okay, you notice I'm not giving you 2 grams or 10 grams. Yeah, you just put in like you're making a salad or something. Yeah, it's food. It's not poison. Okay, NHS S N nuts, herbs, seeds. So nuts, if you're putting nuts in, it's best to soak them overnight, by the way. Yeah, just to any anti-nutrients, you can get rid of those. Okay, and then the final one is seeds. I love flax seeds. I love chia seeds. I really love pumpkin seeds, which also have an anti-parasitic properties. They've got fiber, so they're very prebiotic. Your gut bugs get really excited about pumpkin seeds. And there you go. That's it. Yeah.
Ooh,
you don't need to watch
easy.
the video now because that is what the video says. Okay. I would if I were you, but it's up to you.
No,
yeah.
for sure.
So 80-10-10, greens, blitzed, a bit of fish oil, maybe a bit of seaweed, a little bit of a sprinkle of seaweed, and then you go NHS, nuts, herbs, and seeds, and you give variety. The most important thing, Susanna, when you're feeding a raw food diet is variety. Okay, so you feed lamb for sheep, mutton for a week, and then you give maybe beef for a week, and then you give chicken for a week, and then you give okay, and then you cycle. Yeah, you rotate. Yeah. I like feeding one protein at a time. If you look on Instagram, you'll see people having like 9 different proteins in a bowl. It's bullshit. Don't don't go there. It's too much. It looks nice and it's great. It's not going to do any harm, but who has the time to find a quail's egg and then a rabbit foot and then yeah. So keep it simple, because if it's not simple, you won't stick to it, especially when you start. If after maybe 6 months, you want to make amazing bowls and put them on Instagram,
That's
Fill your boots.
okay.
Go for it. It's great. It's absolutely great. And you'll have fun. And I think that's fantastic. But some people feel that they are inadequate because they don't make a beautiful bowl every single day. Don't fall for that, okay? It's very simple. Yeah, remember 80-10-10, blitzed greens, fish oil, a little bit of seaweed, NHS. Think, done, walk away. That's it, okay? You keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple.
Okay, this is really awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anytime you want to come here into Guatemala, please let me know so we can help you with everything.
I would love to come to Guatemala. I would love to. I have a cousin in Puerto Rico, which is a little bit further south than you guys, I think. But yeah, Guatemala. Yeah, if you ever need some lectures, let me know.
For sure.
I'll jump on a plane. I'll jump on a plane. Come and see you. We'll tour the country and we'll talk to everybody. And it'd be wonderful to break bread with friends and colleagues.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much. One last request. Can you say adios, which means bye-bye in Spanish?
Adios, amigos and amigas, and muchas gracias, and hasta luego. Is that tomorrow? See you tomorrow.
See you later.
Hasta luego. Okay, see you later. Hasta luego. Muchas gracias. Thank you.